Hey folks, welcome to another edition of Fitness Friday Posi-TIPS with Rachelle. Happy Friday, happy Fitness Friday. Last time I kicked off this multi-part series on motivation, the value of motivation, the importance of motivation, and I want to open this episode up by just asking you, what motivates you? Do you know, are you internally driven? Are you externally driven? Also known, another way of saying that, are you intrinsically motivated? Are you extrinsically motivated? It is so important that we understand where we glean motivation from, how we glean motivation, perhaps even who we glean motivation from. And so, folks, as we continue this series here on the importance of motivation, I have to kick this series off, as I alluded to last time, on the national champion LSU Tigers. you, you didn't think I was going to forget, did you? But folks, it's John Maxwell. We're actually gonna my first leadership series of the year. We're gonna talk about leadership styles, and certainly from an educational standpoint, for personal and professional development, from a leadership standpoint, John Maxwell has taught me a lot. His books, his CDs. If you have not had any type of interaction or any experience with any of his material, educational materials, training materials, I strongly and highly recommend John Maxwell, one of the world-renowned leadership experts. And something that he said a long time ago that I often quote is, everything rises and falls on leadership. Everything rises and falls. So everything that happens on an individual level, particularly in clubs or a chain of clubs, whatever the case may be, no matter what problems, challenges, successes, failures, all of that ultimately comes back to who's leading that gym, who the leadership team is, who perhaps even who's the ownership team is in the corporate situation, who's running the show. And this leadership piece is so important, particularly from a responsibility standpoint, but also from an accountability standpoint. The buck stops here. There's so many different ways of stating that. We have all of these old, ways of saying different things. And so it's so important that we recognize everything rises and falls on leadership. We as leaders must be prepared to take responsibility for the good as well as the bad. And so we talk about the LSU Tigers, and I've been saving this on my iPad for a long time now, and I'm just so excited to share. But there's a Sports Illustrated article that appeared January 9th by Ross Dellinger. And I want to read, and we talk about motivation, talk about the heart of motivation, motive, what drives an individual. And so the title of this article is Ed Orgeron is the beacon of light down on the bayou. And right under it says, economic decline has brought a lot of distress for those down on the bayou. But their bebe, spelled B-E-B-E, LSU coach Ed Orgeron is giving his Cajun people a reason to celebrate again. A wonderful article. You can Google it. That's why I always always cite my sources, so you can look up, if you're so inclined to read the entire article. It's a long article, but a wonderful article that really gets to the heart of motivation and what is so important. So I'm going to skip some of this here, and I want to get to, two or three different paragraphs that talks about, his heart and where he has driven his motivation, how he's gleaned his motivation, after some successes as well as some failures. And so it talks about, the Cajun, Cajun country, which is South Louisiana. Won't get into all of that. Just don't have time. But it talks about, again, how proud he is of his heritage, how important he is to that particular area, that particular part of Louisiana. And so it really shows just the impact that he has made, of course, not only in that area, but on the entire state. I mean, there's a lot of pride in the state of Louisiana. Obviously, I was already gone. I came back after 3 weeks on January 8th, and I could already sense, there's just so much pride amongst the people in the state of Louisiana because of that. I even saw leading up to it. When they made the title game, and it was just like, oh my gosh, LSU is really making things happen again. And so I want to read a little bit about his history and talk about and really glean how that has driven him and how he took, some missteps. We're all human. We all make mistakes, but it's how do we rebound from those? Do we ever rebound, or do we just wallow in self-pity and engage in self-destructive behaviors and all of that. Just which path are we going to choose? Because we're all going to have some rough times. We're all going to have some trials and tribulations. But what do we do to move forward is so, so important. Okay, it says, Ed Orgeron remembers the exact time of the phone call that changed his life and ultimately saved his coaching career. 12 noon, he says. During a drunken stupor one night in 1992, Orgeron headbutted the manager of a bar in Baton Rouge and was arrested. The charges were dropped, but the incident and perhaps others resulted in his resignation as the defensive line coach at the University of Miami. He spent the next 18 months out of coaching, returning to the Bayou. The start, he says, of a treatment for alcoholism that lasted through the 1990s. He's now been sober for 20 years. While back home, Orgeron was unemployed and living with his parents, not the place for a 33-year-old who was accelerating up the college football ranks as a guru recruiter and defensive line coach. He struck out on several coaching opportunities, including one at his alma mater, Northwestern State, where former coach Sam Goodwin at first quietly hired him as a part-time assistant. He lasted 2 weeks before the school president heard who was back on campus. Back he went to the Bayou, there on a front yard swing with his father. The two discussed his future. Well, Big Ed told his son, maybe we should try something else other than coaching. And then the phone rings, Orgeron recalls. We have a loud ringer. You could hear the phone from inside. On the other line was Rick Rhodes, the coach at Nicholls State, the regional college in Thibodaux, a short drive from LaRose. He offered Bebe a job. A day later, Orgeron was back on the practice field as a volunteer assistant. He was very candid about what happened in Miami, says Rhodes, 72, retired now and living in Alabama. He basically lost his career. I like to think we were able to crack the door and get his career back. He's taken it and run with it. Rhodes, not from the area, was connected to Orgeron through the Cajun community. One member led the charge, LaFont, the attorney from LaRose and an old beer-drinking buddy with the coach. He remembers encouraging Rhodes to hire Orgeron during a meeting in the coach's office. By the time LaFont made it to Orgeron's home that day, Rhodes had called with the news. Orgeron swung open the door and wrapped his burly arms about LaFont, screaming, Hank, I got a job. And the Hank, I got a job is in all caps, so you can just see the enthusiasm this is conveyed. To this day, the coach hasn't forgotten about it. LaFont hasn't either. What if Coach Rhodes hadn't been in his office that day, he says? What if he didn't want to see me? The cards fell right. Now, let me skip here, and I want to get to a little bit of the heart of his motivation. It talks about his family. I mean, it's wonderful. A wonderful, comprehensive. Bear with me here. Oh, where is it? Okay. All right. Junior, wait, hold on. Before that paragraph, I want to, oh, this is so long. I apologize. Okay. Yes. In his very first game as LSU's full-time coach, a season opener against BYU in New Orleans, the three members of the ESPN broadcast crew each imitated the coach's voice in such a revolting and awkward manner that the network eventually apologized to the school. I want to thank those people because those people gave me internal motivation. Orgeron tells Sports Illustrated in an interview. All the naysayers, doubters making fun of the way I talk, it just motivates me internally. You've been around me. You can understand me. People say they can't understand me. That's not true. I lead a meeting with 50 people. I think they understand me every day. I think some of it is exaggerated. I think the truth is starting to come out, which I knew at some point or another it would. Winning helps. All right, now let me scroll down here. And it talks about just the, his confidence and, all right. So again, he's a junior. So it says Junior was, I'm not a fan of profanity, but just for the quoting this article correctly, Junior was hell-bent on proving everyone wrong. He'd shoot hoops on a dirt court in the yard late into the night, and when Coco would ask why, he'd tell her, can't make the layup, can't be on the team. Coco was the nickname for his mother. All right, can't make the layup, can't be on the team, as I just stated. He was obsessed and not just with football and basketball. Junior threw the shot put and discus and played baseball. He didn't let injury get in the way of practice or play. While in secondary school, he broke his leg while falling off a boat. Days later, he played front yard football in a full-length leg cast that the doctor recasted 3 different times, Coco says. He never stopped. Never, never. Coco shakes her head. Let's say you're not the best at something. Well, guess what that boy is going to do? Practice, practice. And guess what? He will beat you eventually. He just had that heart about him. And so we think about Ed Orgeron, 3 years into his coaching tenure, as head coach of the LSU Tigers, taking the team to the national championship, delivering a national championship title to the LSU Tigers. Look at the heart. So when we see someone like Ed Orgeron in a leadership role that is internally and intrinsically, remember inside, intrinsically driven and motivated, also too by the naysayers, the doubters, people that make fun of him and his accent and all of that. Yes, he's extrinsically and intrinsically motivated, but as his mother alludes to in this article so well, is hay. You know, he was a fighter. He liked to prove people wrong. He would just practice his heart out in order to be able to compete successfully and eventually beat people, you know, in whatever game or whatever sport he was participating in. So I love this article. This is going to be one that I certainly reference in the future, because it certainly gets to the heart of motivation, because if everything rises and falls with leadership, if you've got someone, and we're not just talking about college football, we have someone in a leadership role that is responsible for leading, guiding, directing people, whatever the case may be, and he or she is struggling with motivation, you know, does not have a sense of purpose, does not have a sense of direction, it's no wonder the team itself is going to struggle as well, because, you know, we take our cues from leaders. Yes, we're all imperfect. Yes, we're going to make mistakes and all of that, but it is so important to have that fire in your belly from a leadership role, regardless of what your profession is, regardless of what group, organization, company, corporation, team, department, division, battalion, squadron that you're leading. All right, the list, committee, the list of leadership scenarios is endless. But folks, I just had to share that. And so to dovetail on that article, have to highlight Joe Burrow. We talked about Joe Burrow, Heisman winning quarterback, national champion, LSU Tigers. And so I've been saving this one for a while too, and this will be added to my collection here behind me of Sports Illustrated, to some of the classic ones that I've saved. So this is from December 2nd of last year. So it says Joe Burrow from average Joe to #1 pro. And I just highlighted, so you can see here. And so this says, eyes on the Tiger. Once overlooked and dismissed, LSU quarterback and Heisman Trophy frontrunner, so ultimately, you know, he won. Joe Burrow has shockingly shaped the football landscape, and as he leads the #1 team towards the college football playoff and makes his case to be the NFL's #1 pick in 2020. And all right, so I've highlighted a section here, another wonderful article, but in the interest of time, I can't spend too much time, but you see I actually spent extra time having to scroll down and find certain parts in that Orgeron article. But I want to read here for you something that I've highlighted that gets to his motivation. So important. When he was a boy, he imagined a different storybook fairy tale. Joe Burrow dreamed of suiting up for the college football team he had rooted for all his life, where his father and 2 older brothers had played. He grew up in the Plains, Ohio, became a starter quarterback in high school, and led his team to a state championship game appearance. In his dreams, he would go on to lift the once proud program that he revered, Nebraska, back to prominence. Maybe when his imagination got carried away, even to a national championship. But Burrow's dream was not meant to be. The Cornhuskers wouldn't even give him a look. They were questioning his arm strength and whatever, says Joe's brother Dan, a Huskers safety in the early 2000s. All Joe ever wanted to do was play for Nebraska. It really, really hurt me. Burrow went on to Ohio State instead, where he sat on the bench for 3 seasons. When he decided to transfer as a redshirt junior in Nebraska, mired in a dismal stretch, could have landed him again. The Cornhuskers passed. When asked about Burrow at the time, Nebraska coach Scott Frost said, "You think he's better than what we got?" So I'm going to end it there, folks. Talk about, once again, the importance of intrinsic motivation as well as intrinsic. This article was fascinating. I mean, I loved it because it was so eye-opening, because I didn't realize, and that's just the wonderful joy of reading, and I'm a voracious reader. You learn so much. I didn't realize his heart and soul, he wanted to play for Nebraska. Never knew that. And so essentially what happened, they passed on him. Didn't think he was good enough. Had an opportunity at another time to pick him up. Passed on him. So ultimately Joe transferred from Ohio State to LSU, and things have been wonderful for him. You know, when you think about just what a wonderful storybook, perfect season, wonderful storybook ending to the season. But when you think about that, okay, so intrinsically, yes, he wants to do well, had the talent, had been exposed obviously at a very young age, had the family, some of the generational familiar type of expertise and knowledge and influence passed on to him by his father and brothers. But also when you think about extrinsically, again, the naysayers, the doubters, he's not good enough, he doesn't have what it takes. We don't know about his arm strength. We don't want to take the risk, And so when you think about how all of that drove him, to be the Heisman winning quarterback that he is today. So what do we do from a motivation standpoint? You're going to have haters, particularly if you achieve anything, if you want to strive to be and achieve anything in life. You're going to have haters. You're going to have people that are going to say you're not good enough. You should be doing this. Why are you doing this? I mean, that's just a fact of life, but it's also a fact of leadership. Because once you're elevated, whether you elevate yourself or you're elevated by your corporation, business, organization, fitness facility, or fitness facilities, everyone is not going to be happy. I guess I should say that. A lot of people are not going to be cheering on your success, wanting the best for you, wanting you to lead the number one team to the championship. That's just how people are. Unfortunately, that's just some of the negative behaviors and mindsets of human beings, unfortunately. But I love the way, again, he channeled that positively, just like his coach. Because how many people in life will have a dream, will have a goal, they want to work for this company, they want to, be in a relationship with this person, they want to marry this person, they want to do this or that, and it doesn't happen, or it doesn't happen the way that person thought it could or should have, or something ends, the person gets fired, the company downsizes. How do we handle adversity? How do we handle rejection? I'm actually going to do a series on a non-fitness Friday, certainly this year, on triumphing over rejection. But I love the way he channeled that in a positive manner. Okay, Lamar Jackson, NFL quarterback, had a real strong season, just kind of shocking at the end, the way the season ended for the Ravens. But you think about him, he was doubted. I mean, coming into the NFL, we don't think he has what it takes. So we don't know. He should be playing a different position. We don't know if he has these quarterback material. All right, he proved the naysayers wrong. He had a strong season. It was kind of a unfortunate ending to the season, but still, he's young. He's got a bright future in the NFL. But that's another example. Do you channel that and allow that to motivate you to achieve things that you certainly, perhaps in many cases, would have never achieved otherwise? So that can be so important. And so when your heart's in the right place, when you're living in your purpose, when you're doing what you're meant to be doing, the motivation was going to flow much easier than it would otherwise. If you're in a position, if you're running a gym or you're running some gyms and your heart's not in it, and you wonder why it's a struggle. It's a constant struggle. There's turnover nightmares, constant churn of members. All right, you got to ask yourself, is this truly where my heart is? Is this truly where I want to be? All right, because yes, your subordinates are also going to take clues and can determine that if your heart's in it, if you got zero motivation, if you're struggling to come in every day and hold your head up and lead a team, facilities correctly, that is going to come out. And so next, I wanted to quickly highlight yet another Sports Illustrated article. And so this article this one came out, right, and this is November 4th. So I've been saving this one for a while. Women's basketball example, very quickly here. All right, so it says the Bears, Baylor Bears. The Bears necessity. All right, so when it says up here, Star Center, Lauren Cox has one goal: to lead Baylor to a second straight title. While a knee injury in last year's final got the better of her more chronic condition, type 1 diabetes never has. All right, so let me just quickly read here. Baylor's 6'4" MVP stands on the baseline at practice, drinking a juice box. She prefers apple because it hits her system quickly, and she just likes the taste. After guzzling it, Lauren Cox jumps right back into a half-court drill, raises her hands, and intercepts a pass. About 20 minutes later, her blood sugar has fallen again. She needs another juice, another corrective for a condition she's been battling most of her life. Another quick swig, and she returns to the floor. Cox has type 1 diabetes, an autoimmune disease in which the body cannot produce enough insulin to regulate blood glucose levels. Since age 7, she has been counting carbs, monitoring her blood sugar, and either giving herself more insulin if her numbers are too high, or eating a snack if they're too low. After her diagnosis, Cox's parents were given a quick tutorial on how to manage the disease. It was new to them, but when we were walking out of the hospital, we told her, this isn't going to stop you. It's not going to hold you back. You can still do anything you want to do. Her mom, Brenda, says. Lauren played in a soccer game the next day. And so it was a wonderful, wonderful article, and it just quickly highlights, as I pointed out, Cox is not the first elite athlete to adjust her life to diabetes. Former NFL quarterback Jay Cutler, who was diagnosed at 25, would check his glucose level every time he returned to the sideline and drink Gatorade to raise his blood sugar. If needed. Canadian center Max Domi tested sugar 7 or 8 times throughout the game. So yet again, motivation. All right, she doesn't let her diabetic condition stop her. When you see her on the court, she's unstoppable. Certainly a leader of the leader of the team, an anchor for the team, an inspiration for her team, as well as many others who watch her, who fight literally game minute by game minute, all right, quarter by quarter, fight through and do whatever she needs to do to deliver for her team. So when your heart is right, when your passion and your purpose is there, you will do whatever you have to do to be successful. And it is so important because people are looking to us. People are watching us, particularly as leaders. And it's so important that we be able to not reflect perfection, because perfection does not exist, but reflect passion, purpose, and commitment. So I have to weigh in. Next, I want to weigh in quickly here on the Peloton Christmas ad controversy. If you did not see the Christmas ad for Peloton, I encourage you Google it. You'll be able to find it. You'll be able to find myriad articles discussing that one way or another. What happened on that particular ad, and the criticism it received, as well as the support. And I'm going to weigh in on this. And so it's not going to be any different than something I've always said. My position remains the same on that. So in the fitness industry, whether it's me sitting here on a Fitness Friday, whether it is a personal trainer at a gym or studio, whatever the case may be, whether it's an ad you see on TV for a gym, for something like that, Peloton bike or anything like that, Nordic track. There's so many different examples I could give. Okay, the very first thing, me in this position, no matter what my topic is on Fitness Friday, my number one theme, underarching theme, all of these episodes is fitness. Fitness Friday. So no matter what I do, no matter what the topic is, at the end of the day, I'm promoting fitness. And the same is true for Peloton. All right, so there's people that were criticizing, well, you have somebody that's already in good shape, already physically fit, on the bike, and you should have had someone that looked like he or she really needed to exercise and show a trend of weight loss in that 1 year, instead of somebody that's already fit, that's just fit and just a few pounds lighter at the end of the year. Okay, but I go back to that same point. Peloton is marketing vis-a-vis that ad. and every other ad that they have, whether in print or in, any other type of channel, advertising channel, marketing channel, no matter what it is. I've seen online. It seemed like later, towards the latter part of 2019, I was getting a lot of online ads. I've seen a lot of Peloton bike ads. So, the number one thing they're trying to do, they're marketing a very expensive, to the tune of more than $2,000 bike. All right, and there's an additional fee on top of that, a monthly subscription fee in order to be able to access, what you need to do, the classes and all of that to participate. So from a target marketing standpoint, that's why they choose who they choose in their ads. All right, they always have fit people in their ads on their bikes. All right, and that's true whether you're talking about a Lifetime Fitness ad that you may see online or on their YouTube channel, whatever, in print. That is why, particularly fitness facilities, you will see fit people in their advertising, because what they are marketing is fitness. And so a lot of the criticism, in my opinion, so many people would be offended if their significant other bought them that. And yes, I'm sure that is true. But for people that are passionate about fitness, and fitness is part of their lifestyle, remember, you've heard me say for years now, this is a Rachelleism, you will only succeed in fitness when fitness becomes a lifestyle and not an event. And what I mean by event is, well, I need to lose 20 pounds by my class reunion next year. My doctor said I need to lose 50 pounds before I have surgery, knee surgery. Whatever the case may be, whatever those type of different scenarios, those are individual events. All right, with lifestyle, it doesn't matter if you got a class reunion next week, next year, in the next 20 years. You're on your fitness game day in and day out, month in and month out. So it's part of your lifestyle. And so for those folks, particularly from a marketing standpoint, who are passionate about fitness, all of that is part of their lifestyle, they're not going to be offended. And I'm part of that. I'm part of that segment, that market segment myself. I am never offended by fitness gifts. Actually, those are my preferred gifts. I share some of them with you that I got, this past Christmas. Pairs of tennis shoes, workout gloves. I mean, I've gotten all types of fitness gifts, but I love fitness gifts. So if it's part of someone's lifestyle, they're not going to be offended. They're going to be like, yeah, this is great, whatever, this and that. And even a Peloton bike, if that floats someone's boat and they like to work out at home and that's a great concept for them, if that's truly, if they're really into fitness, perhaps it's spinning class and some maybe demands on their time have changed and that works well for them, they're going to love it. But yes, there's going to be a big segment of the population that, you should not have used someone that was already fit. They are selling fitness, particularly for a bike that costs more than $2,000. Because if they would not have chosen, if they didn't choose, and I'm saying this delicately and respectfully, but we've got to have clarity about the situation, about what these companies are trying to do. They're trying to sell a product. So from a motivation standpoint, from an inspiration standpoint, what happens from a leadership standpoint? You're looking at someone in an ad. You can also say these folks are leaders. All right, they've been portrayed. They're on the front page of Men's Health or Women's Health or whatever the case may be, Shape Magazine. All right, so people will look at that and say, oh yeah, I want to be like that person. Why? Well, yes, they're trying to sell magazines, but also they're promoting fitness. So in order to be able to do that most effectively from a marketing, particularly marketing investment standpoint, from an ROI standpoint, they have to choose people that are fit, people that exercise, people that look like they exercise. And this is such a controversial topic because people feel like, well, no, they shouldn't have chose someone that's fit, they shouldn't have chose. But then there would have been a large number of people that would complain and criticize and say, well, that person isn't inspiring. Why did they choose that person? Nobody's going to buy anything by seeing, you know what I mean? It's a no-win situation. But all I'm saying is just recognize we all got to just kind of open mind and say, what is this company trying to do? They're trying to sell an expensive bike. All right, when you look at the beautiful, full color marketing brochures that Lifetime, and I used to get them about 3 or 4 different years. I haven't received one in the last 2 or 3 years, but I would get those about every December, January. Beautiful, and I've highlighted them on Fitness Friday. Beautiful, and I know it's very expensive for them produce those because it was like 20 or 30 pages with full color, beautiful pictures. All right, fitness models in them because they wanted to again, from a marketing standpoint, they're trying to market an experience, trying to market an expensive club. Okay, we're talking a membership, particularly if they're higher in their next tier clubs. Okay, about 140, 150, 160 a month, individual. All right, so you've got to have a certain image, you've got to have a certain representation reflected in who you are choosing, the men and women that are being chosen for these fitness articles. And just to give you a further example, as I close, I'm going to close with an example of my dad and his dialysis situation, but men's health. So here we have here, and I read Women's Health, Men's Health, and Shape magazine, and so this one was so important. And so it highlighted. So what do we see here? All right, so January, February 2020. So what is the New Year's resolution crowd? Okay, so what do you see? This man right here, showing exercise. All right, sequences. The 2020 jump start. Begin the year with a total body circuit. All right, so why did they choose him? Okay, just from a human nature standpoint, you look at him and say, okay, this guy is walking the talk. This guy looks like he is actually living the lifestyle. He is in a position, looking at his physique, looking at his muscles, beautiful body composition. All right, very toned, very buff, built, wonderful. All right, but people are going to look at him and say, well, yeah, he can tell me something. I can learn something from this guy. But if they don't have someone where people are going to respond and say, well, what can this person tell me? Or what does he or she know? They need to do these exercises. They need the fitness training more than I do. Whatever, how people are. And I'm trying to be respectful and delicate in this conversation because I know it's very controversial. There's one way or another. But they're trying to sell magazines, right? But at the end of the day, men's health. Are we choosing people that look healthy? Are we choosing people and models to sell gym memberships? All right, to sell gym products, gym equipment, whether it be home-based, gym-based, whatever the case may be. Are we choosing people that look like they walk the talk? All right, because if you don't, and it goes either way, people are going to criticize one way or another. But in this type of situation, in this type of framework of health magazines and fitness magazines, then yes, people accept that, but people also expect that. You actually want me to buy a magazine and I'm flipping through and you got people in here that look like they don't work out or they've never worked out, then that's going to be a problem. So it's just a tough road one way or another, but I just had to weigh on the Peloton situation. All right, gym memberships are tough because many people sign up and they never show up. So there's, again, a lack of motivation for one reason, many different scenarios and reasons why people don't fulfill their fitness goals or, make their goals and make their dreams and goals a reality. Not going to get into all of that, but just safe to say, just suffice to say, we've got to recognize what motivates us, what motivates magazines, what motivates all of this and that. Okay, if you see a Bentley ad and they've got models chosen, say it's a couple in a print ad, they're going to choose people that look like they actually are part of that Bentley lifestyle. Okay, that's advertising, that's marketing 101. Who is your target audience, and who can we get to reflect that target audience? And so that's all I want to say on that. Just so important. So to conclude this episode here on motivation, let's see what happens when I go into marketing. It's marketing's now top of mind here. But as I wrap this episode out, I want to talk to you about my dad and his dialysis treatments. I've alluded to them on a few episodes, and so my dad has been a dialysis patient since June 1st, 2015. So he's doing well, but as I've alluded to in previous episodes, all right, dialysis, some people don't have any type of side effects, don't have any issues, but then there's some people where it drains your energy, it makes you weak, it makes you tired, and so the whole dialysis process is not an easy one. I guess I should just plainly state it's not an easy thing to do, and my eyes have been opened because when I'm in Louisiana, I take my dad, I drop my dad off to his treatments, and then pick him up. All right, and so it's always eye-opening to just experience that and to meet other dialysis patients and listen to them and hear what they have to say. But it's not an easy process, and he drives himself. You know, if I'm not there, he'll drive himself. And so he does well with that. But so from a motivation standpoint, and so we know dialysis is for patients whose kidneys have failed. And so that is so important in terms of life, preserving life. At the end of the day, it's about preserving life, and that's so important. But even within that framework, you may tell yourself, or you may have thought, erroneously as I thought, even before my dad was on dialysis, I knew what it was, but I didn't know a lot about it. And I guess from a motivation standpoint, I've always thought that, okay, if somebody could preserve their life, you know, yes, it's going to be easy, they're going to be highly motivated, it's going to be just a much easier thing to do because they are preserving life. But the only thing is, as I mentioned, sometimes the side effects can really dampen the quality of life for a dialysis patient. It just depends on the person and how their body responds. I know with my dad, what initially for the first, maybe 3 years or so, he was having a lot of issues with cramping because, you know, during the dialysis, you know, they got you hooked up to a machine. His treatments are Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 4 hours. He's on the machine. And so for him, 4 hours and 15 minutes. He started out, it was 4 hours and 30 minutes, and now he's down to 4 hours and 15 minutes. Now my dad, he's 6'2", weighs about 228, 230. And so it's so important for these patients to get their dialysis treatments because, again, it's a life or death decision. But even in that, because of the quality of life challenges, since he has really monitored his water levels and fluid levels closely, no cramping issues, none of that. I mean, that is certainly improved. Yes, he will get weak at times, but it just varies. It depends on how his body responds. And I know for those of you who don't know dialysis patients, and you will hear many of them say, you know, I have good days and I have bad days. Some days are better than others, but it's just how our bodies respond to dialysis treatments at any given point for those who are on dialysis. And so even with that, now I was organizing, you know, my dad's home office, and I came across this. And I said, this is so cool. And I showed it to my mom, and I said, you know what, I got to use this on a Fitness Friday episode. And so, but what it says here is the top 10 reasons to come and complete your dialysis treatment every time. So my dad is a Fresenius patient. Fresenius, they have clinics all over the country, actually around the world. And so you would think that, okay, you're saving someone's life, but no, these dialysis clinics spend time, spend money, motivating to really encourage the dialysis patients to continue to get their full time in terms of their treatment, to not miss any treatments. And so it was just so interesting and eye-opening to me that there's just signs of a good dialysis. And it says sense of well-being, more energy and endurance, improved appetite. Number 4, awake, refreshed, and sleep better. Number 5, achieve targeted weight. Number 6, less itching. Number 7, be mentally alert. Number 8, normal breath odor. Number 9, fewer hospital stays. Number 10, longer life. All right, and then on the other side, it says signs of poor dialysis: tired and irritable, sluggish, tired, poor appetite, nausea, weight loss, malnutrition, difficulty sleeping, restless legs, trouble breathing, swelling, bloating, itchy skin, mentally sluggish, uremic breath odor, more hospital stays, higher chance of death. And it says, you hold the key to feeling great and living longer. Okay, and it was just so cool. Come to remember at the bottom, motivation, encouragement. Come to every treatment and stay for a full treatment. You win in many ways. See 10 reasons to complete your treatment, and through the month of July, your name will be entered into a contest for a chance to win a prize. And so, see, they had a little punch thing where you get a certain number of punches and you win a prize. So just different motivational tactics on the back of this. This was just so interesting, and my mom was really, she saw this last one, but it says possible complications from missing dialysis treatments. All right, so weakness and fatigue, nausea and vomiting, shortness of breath, trouble sleeping, feeling full, fast heartbeat, impaired vision, swelling in arms and legs, infections easier, nerve damage, and then this one, death. All right, here is what you can do. See, with dialysis, those patients in many cases feel like they've lost, a big chunk of control in their lives because these dialysis treatments are long, you have to go to them, so you lose a sense of control over your time and of your life. So here's what you can do. Regular dialysis, eat healthy foods, limit fluids. All right, and so from a motivational standpoint, I mean, they give them Christmas gifts, and so actually, this was my dad's Christmas gift. So we got gloves, gloves, Fresenius kidney care, socks with the Fresenius logo here, as well as a scarf. And so I took my dad's Christmas gift and said, I need to take this. I want to use this on an episode. I mean, but it's just so, from a health standpoint, and we talk about fitness, this is holistic, so we're talking about health overall. Motivation is required for many different things within the fitness industry, within health, within wellness, all right, education, quality of life improvement, quantity or longevity of life improvement. So, folks, really think about motivation. Really think about what drives you, what motivates you. All right, you've heard me say on a number of episodes, why do I do this? Well, truly, I don't have to, but I care about people. I want to make a difference. And this is certainly from a Fitness Friday episode standpoint and a non-Fitness Friday episode, particularly on Fitness Friday episodes. You notice I don't promote my business name. I don't give any contact information. I want to be able, and to be quite frank with you, this is an evolution. I didn't used to, I was not like this when I first started these episodes. But for me, I've really grown into this posture that I have here, this mindset that says, I want to give back. This is my way of giving back. I want to make a difference. I don't want people, to feel obligated. And I'm going to give you a 5-minute episode with very little information, but I want you to call me if you want to really be helped. That's wonderful. Yes, that's a great strategy. There's certainly a place for that. Many people do that, and that's from a marketing standpoint, very successful and a good strategy. I understand that. But for me personally, all right, this is my way of giving back. This is my way of helping people with no strings attached. I'm very passionate about health. I'm very passionate about fitness. I'm very passionate about wellness. I'm very passionate about leadership. So I want a legacy, these Fitness Friday and Posi-TIPS, as well as the non-Fitness Friday Posi-TIPS. I want to leave a legacy. When I'm gone, people will be able to watch these videos and be like, man, I learned some things. She really inspired me to really address some hard things in my life, stop tolerating nonsense and mediocrity in my life, and to have the courage to address the turnover issues that my my facility may be facing, whatever the case may be. All right, I want to, that is why I do what I do. That's why I'm more generous with my time on these episodes than I have ever been, because I'm very comfortable in my purpose and what I'm aiming to do with these episodes. All right, I want to help you without you having to call me, and I'm not trying to manipulate you into, call me and I'll really give you the help you need and whatever. No, I want you to be able to I want to challenge your thinking. I want to challenge your thinking and just be truthful with you and be honest with you and tell you things that your staff, because I know, and I've been there myself, back in my corporate years and stuff, there many times they're going to tell you what you want to hear because they're trying to keep their job. All right, no, I've been guilty of that. And so I want to challenge your thinking in a different way, all right? Because I'm not afraid to challenge you in that way, because I've got to, all right? I don't want to waste your time. I want you to benefit. I want you to glean from these episodes, even if it's just one nugget, one piece. I teach by example, as you see, all right? You're never going to see an episode. Again, I'm very generous with my time. I teach by example. That's part of my strategy for these episodes of helping people. But you're not going to see an episode where I'm going to say, here are 7 ways to grow your gym membership in 2020. I just can't do that for free. Obviously, I'm not. I have to have balance in that situation. That is more professional coaching, consulting type of scenarios. But if you're paying attention, and as I know each and every one of you is, you'll be able to find some ways to grow your membership in 2020 by these other examples. I teach by example. I'm very strategic. I know exactly what I'm doing. And so I thank you all for your support all of these years, 5 years strong of Posi-TIPS. And so I look forward to future episodes in future years. But next time I'm going to continue this conversation on the value of motivation. So important. You're going to hear about some instances in my life where I've had some wrong motivation, such as when I decided at age 30 that I signed up for a tap dancing class, and I decided that I was going to be the next Gregory Hines. That didn't happen. But we're going to talk about motivation. We're going to talk about inspiration. What led me to that decision? What leads us to decisions where you're just kind of like, when things fall through, and it's like, well, hold on. What in the world was I thinking? I can laugh about it now, but folks, so stay tuned for that next time. So until then, remember, I am positively passionate about your fitness, success, and motivation. Make it a great day.